You're watching HFO-TV.
The second bill is House Bill 2639A, and that is the Section 8 bill that is Speaker Kotek's, one of the main pieces of legislation that she's backing this session. I don't know if you remember, but 4 years ago, Speaker Kotek, she was then Representative Kotek, put forward a bill that would remove the carve-out for Section 8 under the protected class status for source of income. And that's all it did. Basically said, you have to, we're taking away that carve-out, you have to participate in Section 8. Every single landlord representative who lobbies down there came out, with guns blazing, and the bill was killed. And we said, but it's not just a flexible source of income. This is a complex federal program. Not everybody wants to be a partner with the federal government. There are lots of different components. Obviously, one of the most significant ones is that it does remove the carve-out for Section 8. And in addition, it clarifies that landlords may refuse to rent to a Section 8 voucher holder based on past conduct of the renter, consistent with fair housing laws, based on the renter's ability to pay rent, taking into account all the sources of income for which the renter is approved. So those are two pieces that were really important. It's like if we've got a $1,200 apartment and somebody's sitting there with a $750 voucher, they don't get to just waltz in and say, great, I get your $1,200 apartment. So that piece is in there. The bill establishes a mitigation fund to pay damages beyond the security deposit. The damages, property or non-payment of rent, have to exceed $500, and that was assumed that people's security deposit would be approximately $500, and is capped at $5,000. So if somebody who is a Section 8 voucher holder, who probably doesn't have much in terms of assets, does significant damage to the carpet, and the carpet needs to be replaced, and that's going to be $4,000, you would go to small claims court. You would get a judgment on that. You would take that judgment within a year of that damage, and you would go to the Housing and Community Services Department, and they would pay you that $4,000. Theoretically. Obviously, all this has to be funded, and that's again, coming back to the issue of money, it has to be funded. There is an account that was never particularly used in the state of Oregon that is now being redirected for the mitigation fund. It is very clear that if that mitigation fund is not there, this bill is dead, and the Speaker has said as much. Renters that have unpaid rent or judgments that have been covered by the mitigation fund must agree to a reasonable repayment plan. They have to pay it back. If they don't, then that information is considered allowable screening and made available to public housing authorities and landlords. The housing authorities, and this is where language is really important, shall strive. Shall is a word that says you have to do it. It's not optional. Shall strive to facilitate landlord participation by ensuring timely inspections of dwelling units. That was a big beef. Folks can take a long, long time to inspect dwelling units, and that's no income while you're waiting for your unit to get cleared. The leases have to match the length of the initial lease that is standard and customary for the unit. Initial leases in Section 8 are a year long, unless you're in the City of Portland Home Forward's area, and they have reduced them sometimes to 6 months. For folks who do month-to-month leases or rents or 6 months, they were stuck with a year that it's just not their business plan, and frankly, they didn't necessarily want to be married to somebody for a year, not knowing how they performed. So this would say, if you do month-to-month, you do month-to-month with your Section 8. If you do 6 months, you do 6 months. Provide a single point of contact for service referral assistance. You don't have to run around trying to find where you need help. Provide establish mechanisms for local landlord feedback and for oversight by the landlords and other stakeholders. If passed, the bill will go into effect July 1, 2014. In addition to the Speaker, tenant advocates and the housing authorities strongly support the bill. All the multifamily housing groups that lobby in Salem, Multifamily Northwest, Oregon Rental Housing Association, and Rental Housing Association of Greater Portland, are neutral on this bill. And they're neutral on this bill for this reason. If you participate in Section 8, this will dramatically improve your experience and the program. If you don't, it's going to be challenging. This is going to be a very, very different way to operate. Now, again, you don't have to accept anyone you would not otherwise accept. But as you know, under fair housing, you can't just lay out 5 applications on a table and say, I think I like that one. First in, first approved, first rented to. And so invariably, this will mean that folks who don't currently take Section 8 and participate in that program will need to do so. And that was challenging, I think, for everybody. So the bill is currently in Ways and Means because everything is being hung up, not knowing where the money is coming and how they can finalize money. But ultimately, the current sense is that there are the votes to pass this on both the House and the Senate side, and that it will pass. So stay tuned. Ultimately, that the outcome of this is going to be in the last. And frankly, not only because of the money, but because this is the Speaker's bill. That's a lot of clout to throw around.
Thanks for watching HFO-TV. To learn more about HFO, call or visit our website. See new listings, apartment news, videos, and more when you download our apps at the Android and iPhone markets.